because I stand for ethics and integrity. I haven't managed billions per se, but I've managed to bring in billions in Target through my brands. Namara, I love people so much. I fight for people. But for me, joining the law was a spiritual calling. Gone are the days where you used to search on Google. Now you must search on the social media because there's been a shift. Or alternatively, you had to alter your morality to be able to get a job. So I had to first of all establish my values and say that, okay, what do I believe in? This is what I'll do, this I will not do. Okay, so it's just unfortunate that it's not always the smartest person in the room who gets the highest paycheck. That's as old as man. History has shown it that way. I was basically shortchanged, but I got to understand that you need to have audacity and the boldness to ask. Sometimes you need to learn to let go of what looks like a good opportunity because nothing free is valued. You cannot be content. You lose the battle the day you feel established. That's the day you've lost the battle. Because if you are the cause of a problem, by all means, be a solution to that problem. And that's why even I keep telling people when they come for mentorship, I ask them, do you want to thrive or survive? Audacity is a very good gift, by the way. Be daring to where you want to be. And if a market doesn't serve your dream, shift.
So not so long ago, we're having a conversation about big marketing spend. And you know, the podcast is about achieving a middle-class economy. And for this special segment, which is the podcast on Uganda's own marketing segment, we're bringing on a leader who has held multi-billion budgets. And why not learn from names, from brands that are turning the wheels of our economy and the brands that are fueling our economy, their ad spend with employing people. So there's a lot to learn. So the story, we were talking with a talent scout and they were looking for someone who has managed billions. And then this candidate at hand had only been dealing with millions. Today's conversation, I want you to bring you in the room with someone who has held multi-billion budgets of companies who can share their experience with us because you, the patriots, have probably not handled these budgets. So with me today, we have the one and only, I like to call her the godmother because if you're in the communication space, so PR, marketing, all of them, you've heard of Miss Viola Mboneko Rusoke. She is very vocal, she is very vibrant and also dominant, very interactive. So I like this about you. She is a team lead or an agency founder called Titanium Agency. Sales and marketing, she likes to call herself an aficionado. And she loves what she does. You see that in everything she does. She's a leader. She mentors people. How do you do all this? And now you're changing disciplines from marketing to law.
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast.
Wow. Thank you for a beautiful introduction, Namara, to all our viewers on Uganda. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope this will be an entertaining, but most importantly, informative session. Just to correct you a bit, because I stand for ethics and integrity, I haven't managed billions per se, but millions. But I've had to achieve billions in Target. So just to put it out there, I've managed to bring in billions in Target through my brands.
That is really good because sometimes people don't aspire. So you're saying you had to work with millions to achieve billions. And what I had before, I knew you had been working with billions somewhere. So that was exciting to bring to the conversation. And it's nice that she put the record straight right away. But tell us, why are you making the transition?
I love people. Namara, I love people so much. I fight for people. But for me, joining the law was a spiritual calling. A lot of people may or may not understand this. It was 2022 July, and one of my very good friends had mistaken me to be a lawyer. And then they kept saying, Viola, you know you'd make a very good lawyer. Then I said, I was actually meant to go to law school. My mother took me to Mukono, but I just didn't like the aesthetics of the school by then. It looked like a secondary school,
Oh, God.
Uganda Christian
We need to
University.
change.
So I said, no, I am not going to a secondary school setting for university. That showed that I also had a passion for aesthetics,
Yes.
beauty, appearance. And so I chose to settle for Uganda Matters University, where I did a Bachelor's of Business Administration and Management. Marketing has fed me, it has given me a professional community, given me a wide perspective. But as you know, there are callings in life. So surprisingly, after this friend forcefully signs me up, Moses Kidega, shout out. He's at the LDC now. He's a politician and a lawyer now. So he tells me that I've signed you up. There's an entry exam. I've sent you past papers, revise. At that time, I was expecting my third born. I was about 5 months pregnant. And I said, okay, God, you know what? I'm going to do this once. I'm going to sit this entry exam once. If I pass it, I will see this through. If I don't pass it, I am not going to see this through. And there were statistics that showed that very many people failed the exam on first attempt. But God did his thing, and obviously when he speaks, you follow. So I passed the exam and I should be completing in May. So come May, I will be a lawyer. I won't be an advocate this year. So when you're done with law school, you become a lawyer. Then when you're done with a diploma, you become an advocate.
We have no doubt you're going to pass.
I am just looking forward to this last mile. Been quite a sacrificing journey. Some employers haven't actually understood my path. But thank God, like you said, when I was younger, I had set up a business. So that's what has been putting food on my table. So why law? I love people, and I feel like it can only be right to represent people and be an advisor from a point of literacy. Because what are you going to say? What are you going to advise? What do you know? That's what I always tell people. What's your authority? You're speaking as who? As what? So I felt like I owed it to the people that I love and I'm passionate about to go and study this particular course. And it's been quite enlightening.
And when you say people,
Yes.
I can see that your same energy on the groups. And shout out to Moses, because everybody needs friends who pull each other up. I see what you keep sending CVs, job prospects, and you keep sending opportunities for people. Recently, you were at the Makerere Business School, just mentoring. It's amazing to see. Now, make my confession here and again. I find that you're a godmother. And I feel like you are that godmother for so many. And now we have patriots who are listening young, they're curious, they want to learn. And you've had this agency that has lived longer than all your other probably jobs. So tell us about what you're seeing today. What is top of mind as a team lead at a marketing agency? What are brands talking about?
As you know, the world has gone through a major shift, Namara. There's a total major shift. If you are a person interested in marketing and sales, you'll realize that trends used to happen would be sustained over a decade, 2 decades, but that's not the case now. I'm a mother to Gen Alphas, yes. I'm a millennial. My parents are boomers. I have friends who are Gen Xers. I'm expecting Gen Beta.
Xers are the same as boomers.
They're slightly younger than the boomers. The boomers are 64 upwards. Gen Xers are like 45 to almost 60. Millennials are about 30 to... We are actually the highest populated generation of our time right now. And I was watching, they were saying in the next 10 years, most of us are going to be in our 50s. So to put it to you that what we saw in the 90s and the 2000s and now has changed so drastically. So back to your question, the trends that I see now are technological advances. We started with the internet, and I like what a certain lady, it will always stay with me, I think former MD Stanbic, she said, the internet equalized the world. So there was an era where there was like a clique of people who had segregated themselves, but what the internet did, it gave opportunities to everyone. And just as we are now adopting to the internet and people are trying to go from being digital to natives to adopting, artificial intelligence comes in. If I am to share with you, like me who has an agency which is run on part-time staff, I have to do a lot of stuff myself because I can barely afford to keep people on a positive retainer, continuous retainer. So you will find that there are applications that can do the work of 2 to 3 people. You will find that there's software for different things. And do you need to have studied IT to do these things? No. I found myself, for example, designing my own invoices using Canva. I found myself amplifying my strategy sessions using Perplexity, which is an AI app. I found myself using new methods of searching, which is social media searching. Gone are the days where you used to search on Google. Now you must search on the social media because there's been a shift. So what you must do as a marketer or any profession is to keep your ears on the ground, get the pulse of the world and how it's moving, and don't panic. Just understand that it's the new way of things. There will be an evolution every 3 to 4 years, and sometimes it's actually even months. So you just need to get the pulse, understand, and pick what applies to you. Don't panic. Again, why I said don't panic?
Twice.
Because there's this whole bombardment of we're going to lose our jobs, we're not going to have work, how are we going to survive? Rightfully so. I also ask myself the same thing because if you see the entertainment industry, I was watching how a lot of people in Hollywood lost their jobs. Now that is how the legal profession must come in, and that's how governance comes in to protect humanity. Because AI feeds off us. What do we get paid for feeding it? Sometimes I'm even afraid of putting some of my information on AI because it retains that information. So sometimes my gift is in prompting it. I can see it getting a headache trying to give me ideas because I know that if I feed my document in the AI, that's it, gone for life. It's shared with a million other people. Now you have to pay for some of it. So what am I trying to say? You need to be a bit smart in how you live. Don't panic because there's a fear, the fear mongering of, oh, we are going to suffer, Armageddon, the world is ending. Yes, at some point the world will end, but not today. For me, that's what I see. It's just having a pulse on where things are moving.
I love that. And I've heard you once before that people need to thrive under pressure. And I like that you also say it here now. So now if there's somebody who is young, because the Patriot is a young person, they're looking to offset their career, or for example, the people you keep mentoring, Miss Viola, she's like a big sister. You know those big sisters who will defend you? Everybody in the comment section will be saying, oh no, da 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 da. She's like, no, she'll defend what she believes in. So now if there's somebody who has gone through a trying time, they're trying to restructure themselves, and you're a proponent of resilience and just restructuring, right? So a young person is here. How do they start? Opportunities available.
Let me start from when I was a young person because we can't speak out of no experience. When I was young, there was no work. That has never changed. You get to graduate, you're optimistic, you think that there's going to be a job for you. Basically, you're building castles in the sky. But what I always tell people is start where you are. Come on, I got a second class upper and I couldn't find a job. First of all, I couldn't find a job because you had to know someone who knew someone, or alternatively, you had to alter your morality to be able to get a job. So I had to first of all establish my values and say that, okay, what do I believe in? This is what I'll do, this I will not do. I loved fashion. I'm not trendy. I think I'm more timeless. So I started to sell. I used to sell earrings. I love accessories. I love fashion, but simple like elements, putting things together. I used to sell trusted jewelry. I had no shame. Please, young person, have no shame. Shame is the thing that stands in between you and progress. By having no shame, I mean go knock on the doors. Say, I'm ready to be a messenger. God rest his soul, one of my mentors, he was called Tashobia Ronald. I was his errand person. And what was I getting in pay? Internet, maybe some upkeep here and there. but I knew that I could not stay home. So I would go to his office. It was a cleaning firm and an agency. They were doing trading. I started to understand how does forex trading work. I would call in some of the big shots I knew. That is how I learned how to drive, because there were cars at my disposal. So I didn't pay for driving school. I learned how to drive, saved my money, bought a permit. I also had never gone on a plane until I was like 24 years. I had never traveled. I wasn't privileged to travel in my childhood, but I always dreamed of it. I saved up for a passport. And 6 months after that, I went on my first trip. I'd gone to other countries like Rwanda, Burundi, because I had friends who had studied there. But I first went on a plane to Kenya in Nairobi because of a client. The client had paid for us to go because Uganda didn't have a lot of promotional materials at the time. So we'd source from Kenya and bring things back. So what am I trying to say? Humility
and curiosity.
Humble backgrounds are very important. There was pressure. There are friends of mine who are well off. They came from good families. But did I have to be like them? No, I didn't have to be like them. I had my pride. I tried to balance my humility and pride, because what pride does, it gives you audacity to believe in yourself as a young person and know that, you know what, I don't have to sell myself short. Pride protects you, because pride, shame are a protector of your dignity. So I always had that balance between my humility, my pride, and understanding that this thing may embarrass me if I take this direction. My first international job at Heineken International was based on a recommendation. They gave the job to someone, the person still had a better job. He was called Aaron Kasozi. He said, I know a girl who can do that job. He was still in MTN. And he said, I can't risk, but take this person. But how did I start? I started by selling earrings. I started by working in a restaurant, barbecue lounge. Shout out to Madame Stella Karuhanga. She gave me a job. I moved from 300,000 to 700,000 and to millions to the next steps of my life. So what am I trying to say? Life is not a straight line. We have a tendency of thinking it's going to be like this. And now with the young people, the internet and social media has given you avenues. In our time, it was word of mouth. But now you can have word of mouth, you can have visibility, you can have content, because the friends of mine who stuck out the hustle, one of them now has a designer house, Miss She. Rashida. It was like a chain. We knew each other, would sell earrings, bags, and shoes. Now she has a designer house. But our paths are all different. So as a young person, you must understand first, what do you stand for? And that will be your compass. And then build the resilience to just keep going and don't say no to anything. Be a receptionist, clean. There's power in learning. Because in running errands, I started knowing how to get contact. I started understanding how to penetrate gatekeepers, the people who protect the boss. How do you navigate past that? So it's in understanding that there are lessons in everything that you're able to get to where you're going.
That's brilliant. I can't stop, but I couldn't just stop appreciating the fact that she has given shout out to Soap Moses,
Yes.
Alan, Ronald,
People.
So
Yeah.
she's been built by a
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
and she's humble enough to also acknowledge that and shout out to these people. And I feel like you're building a community yourself.
Yeah.
I think you reached out. I don't know how you got my contact to join the group, but I still see your energy today. And this is the group that hosts all the marketers in Uganda and also the other one, Prow, which is brilliant to see. But what drives your sense of community? Because not only, like we have just seen, were you nurtured by a community, but you also uphold the same values of community.
People build people. I keep telling people, if you don't have people, you can be an introvert, you can be an extrovert, but that doesn't define your relationship with people. I think it's in understanding that people will make your life a lot easier and that people will support you. So just to make it clear, Top Marketers Club is founded by a gentleman called Victor Matau, who I met in Nairobi. And he told me, now, Viola, I want to open in Uganda. So in most Ugandan societies, there's a subscription fee And his model is no subscription fee. That night, I opened the group with 100 contacts just from my phone. But because I'm also a protector of data privacy, I didn't just add people. I would first send a message and say, are you comfortable joining this
you
group?
actually sent a
Yes.
message.
And if the person said yes, I would send them. You need to be respectful to people's boundaries and privacy. So that's how the Top Marketers Club in Uganda started. So we have almost 600 members there. And hopefully in the coming year, we should be able to have a get together and meet. But I'm also a member of Uganda Marketers Society, PR Uganda. But above all, communities are very key because that's how businesses and economies grow. So, for example, my biggest clients are people I know. They're the ones that recommend me. Even the latest project that I'm doing, it's someone who recommended me. So, to put it to you, communities are important. Of course, right now, sadly, we are more online. It's a bit superficial. We don't meet as much. The world is very demanding. But there's the community online and offline. Given the chance, I think everyone should have their people that they can bank on, especially in a profession that they're in. And I think what makes me the way I am, I'm very confident. I'm not in a competition with anyone. I guess that's why I have audacity. I think it's in my DNA, but also I've trained myself to be happy for others. I think it's okay for other people to thrive. As they are on top of the hill and you're in the valley, it's okay because the valley was also created by God. It's a place. So I try as much as possible to control my anxiety and fear because at some point in your career you can hit a stagnation, but just to wish people well and wish others well is such a key tool of my life.
No, it's also beautiful to see you in action, like just in community. Like she will be having fun in corporate settings. Some people are too serious for life. But Miss Viola will show you she will go out to have fun. And if it's playtime, we play. If it's work time, it's work time, which is beautiful to see because the workforce that's coming. You talked about the young people. Young people need a bit of both.
Trust.
Older generation probably didn't know how to balance that. But it's nice to see it being also reflected in serious people because some people would probably not relate fun people with like success. There's a bit of need to have a balance in it. And I like to see you in action. You can check out her LinkedIn platforms and all the other beautiful to see that you can enjoy what you do and enjoy the people you surround yourself with. And even just in text, you can see that in how you
my personality penetrates through the text.
Yes,
it does.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
So the fun part, I know because we've talked about the seriousness of these professions.
Yes.
But you've also alluded to the fact that your paycheck doesn't equate to smarts. Why would you elaborate more on that?
Okay, so it's just unfortunate that it's not always the smartest person in the room who gets the highest paycheck. That's as old as man. History has shown it that way. So I don't know. What do you want to know, Namara?
There's a young person, they're thinking, okay, I need to do marketing, but I'm not being paid now. Am I smart enough for this job or am I fit to be here? Because
that's okay. So the voice that you're alluding to is the inferiority complex. There's always that voice that it tries to tell you that you don't belong in a certain place, that you're not worthy of being in that place. But I assure you that your take home is not exactly who you are. Your take home is just one or two things. It's possibly a summation of your experience or how you negotiated it. I used to be a very bad negotiator. Just to take you back, I had a workmate, a good friend of mine. At the time, I had only 2 children. They didn't have children. I was handling a bigger team. They had a smaller team. I had bigger goals. But as we were there talking, it was a slip of tongue from his side, but it was such a light bulb moment for me. He was taking home more than me by almost 2 million shillings. And I was like, how? Couldn't the HR see that I was deserving of this? I was basically shortchanged. But I got to understand that you need to have audacity and the boldness to ask. Men do this very well.
Easily.
They walk into rooms
Yeah.
with empty heads, some
Yeah.
of them, no offense, and clothes. Actually, one of my very close people in life,
Yeah.
my life partner, told me, you need to stop giving away information for free. This was always my weakness. If someone called me, it never hit home until my husband highlighted it to me. Someone calls you, even sometimes I see it on WhatsApp groups. People ask, if I wanted to do this and this, what do you advise? In today's era, information is a gift, but on top of that, it's a commodity. You must pay for it. Someone must, most times, at the very least, with an appreciation, a recognition, a reference, something has to pay, either in a tangible or in an intangible way. What am I saying? Yes, I am here on this podcast, but it's a win-win. I'm on the podcast, I am giving information, but I'm also going to get publicity. However, there are scenarios where you'll find that as a young person, you know things and you're just giving it away. Sometimes the payment is not in money. Sometimes it's in opportunity. It's in visibility, in exposure. So I got to realize that, okay, I'm a generous person. I'm free, but I need to leverage what I know and cost it. So very many times, people who own businesses would call me and say, I'm having challenges with young people. What do you think I should do? And then I would run my mouth and then I would say, oh, this is what young people are into now. This is what you should do. But there's an actual budget in the system for that. Alternatively, give me an opportunity to talk to these young people and give me like an emolment or something. So what is on ground right now is that you need to understand how to commercialize your gift and your passion in a tangible or an intangible way. People do swaps, there are all these things. So you may think that you're giving your knowledge, but you have to find a way of costing it. And that's how I ended up in the world of consultancy, because how do you cost your service? How do you cost information? How do you cost knowledge? It's not like it's a soda which the factory price is 700 and the shelf price is 1,000. So it's no, you have to find a way of commercializing your knowledge.
The value you talked
Yes,
about
and having
earlier.
the value of that. So yeah, that's what I can say.
Nice. I think it's also nice
Yeah.
to know, because today there's so many tools that can
Yes.
help you monetize all websites. Today with Claude, you can
Yes.
create a website, put payment gateway, pay 5K for whatever it
Pay.
is. Yes, Momo Pay and Airtel. So it's amazing that these options are available. And I'm glad that leaders like yourself come onto the podcast and educate a patriot.
Yes. Please, Ugandans, there's no free information. If gossip mongers or tabloid fodder can earn millions just from speaking truth or false, what about you who is actually speaking what you are aware of, what you've studied, what you've experienced? I think it's time to reposition ourselves and actually understand that there's an economy of knowledge and it must be respected and one must earn an income from it. For example, I asked myself, yes, a doctor is perceived by society to have a higher value than a marketer across the globe, understandably, because they'll say they save lives. To see a doctor is not free. If you have no insurance, if you have no medical card, if you're not on any scheme, you have to pick out of pocket. And in the private hospitals, a specialist goes from 50 to 80,000 just to enter the room, have a discussion with them. They're asking you how you're feeling, and you say, I have a temperature. Okay, go to the lab. And then the lab gives results, and they say, okay, take this medicine. So what am I prescribing as a marketer? I'm prescribing solutions. I'm prescribing trends. I'm prescribing route to market, how to build your brands. As a lawyer, I'm prescribing information possibly on your trusts as a family. How do you protect legacy? How do you protect a business? all these things. So as marketers, we need to shift from the generic hype of just having fun, but also start to find a way of costing our work, because the content creators have moved, who are also perceiving themselves to be marketers. But content creators are normally guided by marketers who have strategy.
Yeah.
So let's not be afraid to ask. That fear of negotiation should come to an end. And I'm glad that I've conquered my fear. There's someone 3 months ago who reached out to me, telling me if I could help them do something. They were from Ghana. But I told them, you know what, for this first discussion, at least give me $100, which is $350,000. Let me see how to support you. They were like, how about we meet, then you give us your logo, then you... I said, no, it's not just a discussion. It's 17 years of experience.
Yeah.
It's what I know. And they called me again, but I wasn't budging. Sometimes you need to learn to let go of what looks like a good opportunity, because nothing free is valued.
I'm glad this is coming from a professional. You're probably making 15 years this year for Titanium?
Titanium started in 2014. So it's 12 years. Corporate registration. You know, you can register business. When I registered, I did like 2-3 gigs. But in activeness, it's 4 years.
Okay, 4 years. And 17 years of just working in the ecosystem. I feel like you have a rich experience, especially with a multinational. And like you mentioned, you need a strategy to share whatever the creatives would be on the team to execute. I think now it's changed. For all the multinational brands that would come with like strategy from London or headquarters in South Africa.
With those ones.
And then you have to translate that locally, and it's just not making sense. You're a chartered marketer, aren't you?
Yes, I'm on my way to being chartered by next year. In terms of ranking, I'm an MCIM. I'm a step away from being a fellow. I'm a master marketer.
That one.
Yes.
Patriots, you're hearing it from a master marketer. Yes. I wonder what marketers are struggling with now that they're afraid to mention.
Data. I used to fear data myself, analytics, numbers, but thank God for mentorship. I once served under 2 great men, one called Ivan Manzi and our MD of African Queen called Innocent Tibaeta. Everything we did was numbers driven. So I have to say those 3 to 4 years of working under their leadership, I got to appreciate data. There's no decision I ever made as a marketer that was not data related. Obviously, data is king, but what I got to learn more importantly was the story behind the data. Data tells stories. There can be numbers on a screen, but you have to be observant to tell the stories. I got to appreciate customers who are possibly our partners, the wholesalers. Why do they hold back on money on a certain decision? I got to understand things as simple as you will give credit to a trader and they'll use your credit to buy flour, because flour is more faster moving than soap. And then that money from the flour is what the profits that they will use to pay you. But you don't understand such things by sitting on your desk. You have to balance the field visits. Our former bosses tell us, go to the field. I can tell a salesperson by the way their shoes look. Yes. You find a salesperson with very sparkling shoes, I doubt they have walked any paths.
Those are the new AI salespeople.
No, you need to walk. You need to go to the trade. I used to move, and so many times I would shoot and put on my WhatsApp status. You need to go. You need to listen to the stories of that Hajat downtown who is a millionaire, has a huge building. Understand what matters to her. She will talk of succession. You need to understand her children's names, the football team her husband supports. I mean, that is going to influence your numbers. So there are stories behind the data. They would remember me. They would remember me maybe by a feature on my body. Yes. So, and up to now, some of those traders are still my friends from downtown. There's very many of them are down there. But I have to tell you that data is king. So don't be afraid of numbers. I'm never afraid to ask. My friends who are good with Excel, I would go to them and tell them. And up to now, I'm still learning. It doesn't stop.
No.
You cannot be content. You lose the battle the day you feel established. That's the day you've lost the battle. In fact, I'm so afraid of success that sometimes it can cloud you. I remember last year I was recognized as Mentor of the Year. There's a society called Girls for Girls.
Yes, Girls for Girls, yeah.
So it's a very big accomplishment. Globally, it's a big deal. But as I was rushing for the thirst of recognition to post it, something told me first calm down. Understand that this is a win, but what next?
Yeah.
So we get blinded. Social media has its cons. So many times you're very quick to post your establishments. I have got this, I've won this, I've been recognized as this. I'm happy to. That's the world we are living in, where everyone is celebrating their wins. But the challenge happens when your win clouds your judgment and clouds your next steps. So I took almost 2 months. Then I spoke about it, and I never spoke about it again, because I must continue. What's the next phase? I've bought books about mentoring people between 10 to 25 years. Because how does a 10 to 25-year-old think? Because I'm 40. How do I communicate with a 10 to a 25-year-old? So you must consistently challenge yourself. I'm thirsty, I'm hungry. I need to know what next. It's a course, it's a something. It's because there's a depth of thirst that I have, that I must keep filling my cup. So that's what marketers need to understand, that you might have reached the pinnacle. There's a man actually who I think it's called Kaseke, and he just wrote a book and he asked himself, what next? This man was the head of PricewaterhouseCoopers for 20 years, a Ugandan, and he built school for the deaf. He's done all these things, but he's asking himself, what next? I can't wait to buy his book from the store, because it has an interesting title. So as marketers, we must always be hungry for knowledge, hungry to understand trends, to see where the world has shifted. And now I'm going to use the gift that God has given me in marketing and the laws to I'm very now obsessed with consumer protection and environmental, because a lot of what we do as marketers doesn't protect consumers.
No, it doesn't.
We have targets.
Oh, that's going to your younger self will be so shocked. Like,
we have
who
targets.
is this?
Yeah, we have targets. I used to push to have a bar sell 50 crates of beer. But what do 50 crates of beer look like in behavior? What do 50 crates of beer look like in behavior?
Or the third-party cookies attacking you.
There's also that. There's the digital side of things. But as you push your targets as a marketer and salesperson, understand that there's an implication of behavior. I've not been drinking for that. I'm not criticizing alcohol because I stopped drinking. But everything must be done in moderation. So as you push your targets to drive profitability for the business, what does that look like in behavior? What does selling sugar look like in behavior? Health-wise, how do we hold you accountable? What does alcoholism look like? Because we used to sell in buckets. We would dress up young girls in short dresses to obviously to entice the consumers. And guys would drink buckets.
No, I was privileged to work at the brewery. And I remember, because I started out in the CSR department, but they had those campaigns for responsible drinking and farmer trainings and things like that. So I feel like as much as brands are producing or manufacturing different products, they are also very conscious, for their effects, but not as much as from your perspective, who wants
so
to
let me now tell you how they are cautious. And I'm not shooting my friends. I'm not shooting my friends, but let's call a spade a spade. They're just painting a pretty picture. In environmental law and the world, they call it greenwashing. You planting trees or having a run for cancer or having a drive for maternity, and yet it doesn't reflect in the actual values of what you do, is just pretense.
Really?
Yes.
I think it's
let
a
me
balance.
let me now paint a picture for you. If you had to responsible drinking, it's take 3 bottles or 4 bottles, take a
and
break,
one.
have a bottle of water.
Yeah.
In Heineken, we'd even say park your car, use an Uber. But a person who has drunk a 5% alcohol in a night, maybe to 6 bottles, how does that alcohol interface with their personality and trigger their thought process? If you're already an unstable person, it may cause disruption for a family. So it must be in a way that
it's proportionate.
It's proportionate to that thing.
the
But
effect.
again, now that's where the problem lies. Because remember, to run a business, to pay 1,000 employers, you need money. To get the money, you need the numbers. To drive the numbers, you need the volume, because that's how manufacturing works. You need volumes. But I think everything has to strike a balance. Perhaps now companies should think of diversifying
their
because
service to the community.
Yes, because how do you possibly, if you are the one causing polluter, you're the manufacturer, but you're the polluter, how do you then perhaps leverage your damage to the society? I would possibly say maybe start a garbage collection business and see how, because remember, you're already the one in charge of
like
waste.
Coca-Cola, they do partnerships with reuse and waste management.
Yes, because it's not enough that you collect the rubbish, weigh it, and pay people for it. I know that center where they collect. Perhaps in marketing, it's called augmentation, where you extend one line of business to the next line of business. Because if you are the cause of a problem, by all means, be a solution to that problem. And we all know in Uganda, there's only one rubbish collection, not Uganda per se, let me speak for Central. Case it's in charge of disposal and all that. So how do you partner with a person like that, possibly to see that there's less pollution, but also in a profitable way? I'm sure there are strategists who can sit down and advise, so that it's not just painting a picture of, oh my God, we released thousands of plastic, but our hands are clean. We have given you a center. We're paying you for the plastic. We have collected the plastic. But guess what? Your plastic, when it rains, it's flooding the drainages. It's still... So, and you're still giving the salesman a triple target. So he has to sell more plastic. So polluter responsibility. Yes.
And this is her director of ethics and integrity hat on.
Actually, my research paper is about that. It's about polluter responsibility and the laws around it. No, it's not enough. No. It's not enough to have a collection center. They need to do more. And by all means, we shall demand for more.
After we are in June. Come June. I like that you balance that well. Your position in the society, but also I feel like it's part of you as a character, or it's within your character to also hold people accountable, which is nice to see. Now, you did recommend the Patriot, please push forward, go for it. I want to know what risks you've taken but have paid off.
Okay, my friend. The risks I've taken have been learning as much as possible. It has burnt my wallet. It's a risk because sometimes you're going to ask yourself, if I spend this much millions, what will be the return of investment? Because as marketers, we're always taught to ask ourselves, what's the return of investment? But if it's not for the money, at least it's from the knowledge, because then I'm more aware of how things happen. As a marketer, we have a model framework called the PESTOL framework. Most people think it's just limited to politics. We cram it. But now, because of the risk I've taken to study more, I now look at frameworks from a 360 angle.
Yeah.
For example, if I'm to look at politics, when the recent sovereignty bill, which passed, came out,
Did
I
it pass?
sat down.
I told
it passed
yesterday.
it
I
passed.
thought there were irregularities, so they adjourned the
the
meeting.
president asked them to make amendments, which I think they did. I've not yet read them because they've not yet read.
I would think
it
then
passed.
the streets would be buzzing.
It passed already, but I think why
Okay.
possibly people are calmer is because the president came out to talk about the liberalization of money and not holding people's money in remittances. So I guess all those parts may have been removed out, but it passed. It's going to be an act. When I was looking at it, when I see the P in the pesto, I don't just see it from maybe price increases or instability. I see it from a point of governance. I see it from how do choices from like the executive or the legislature affect businesses. How do economic decisions get to be made? How are social influences going to happen? So it makes me even a better marketer. And I say that with confidence because now I know that I can sit in a room and tell my client that, okay, based on how you're going to price your product, this is what the economy looks like. Perhaps this is not how you should position your product, because I have some people who are my clients who are trying to do something. Then I say, this is the direction you will take. But is that how I used to think? No, because I was comfortable. Comfort is what avoids risks. Afraid to upset the balance. Just being in your chair and saying, let me not tackle anything. Let me not ask questions. Let me just sit. Yeah. So the risk I have taken is to ask questions, be curious. Has it burnt my fingers? Yes. Because I've had to lose some jobs because maybe perhaps a boss is not comfortable with how you express yourself. And that's why even I keep telling people when they come for mentorship, I ask them, do you want to thrive or survive? Depending on your answer, I guide you accordingly because I also must be cognizant of the fact that not everyone is like me. So I always advise based on your ambition. If you want to survive, I'll tell you, this is how to survive 101. Do this, don't ask questions, get in that place, do this. Bare minimum. You want to thrive, this is the risk. So for me, the risk is in information, chasing information, trying to expose myself, ask questions. I remember my last place of employment, they asked me for a strategy and I went full blast. I went as far as polluter responsibility. I went as far as how do we get certified globally as a safe product. But did it sit well with some people? Others were impressed, others were not impressed. So to me, I say that you're not everyone's cup of tea.
Do your best.
Just be you. Don't harm people. Be good and good will come to you.
Well, this podcast is about thriving. So we are in the thriving zone.
Mode. We
hope to be that podcast that leads us into that thriving middle class. Because some people on paper have said, Uganda's already achieved the middle class. But if you look around you, are we thriving? Now, if you had the magic wand, you've been in business for too long, are there any bottlenecks that you think if removed or something has changed that can help marketers perform better, make more money, pay more taxes, and then eventually help in Uganda?
So when you talk of middle class, I think every state has their own idea of what middle class looks like. In a country like Kenya, it may be a young adult with a paid up mortgage, driving a car, goes on holiday twice a year, can afford to eat in a fine dining restaurant. In marketing, there's what they call personas. So a persona middle class in a different country looks different in another country.
I think
yes. No, there's a global.
Global
But
definition.
as a marketer, you have to be cognizant of the fact that the definitions change across markets.
Yeah.
That's why you find that whenever the multinationals would send their campaigns, sometimes you'd have to twitch them to fit into the local market.
Yeah.
So, for example, your husband is from Belgium,
The Netherlands.
the Netherlands. A middle class of the Netherlands may never match up to the middle class of
Soon.
We're coming. So first it's in understanding which region you're in and how, as a marketer, you're going to support yourself. But as a marketer, I think it's in understanding that we live in a borderless world right now. It's in daring yourself and saying, you know what, actually, soon as I've put to birth and I'm well rested and my child is like 6 months, my plan is to just get onto a bus and go to some of these countries. Dare, be daring, enter into Congo. See how do people behave. Because it's in that daring spirit that you're able to achieve. And I see that in a lot of entrepreneurs who run this economy. Some are not even educated. For example, the founder of Movit, not very highly educated, but the dareness, that the person is daring to say, I can. And then they will hire you with your PhD and all your education to work for them, because the only difference between you and them, besides the supernatural blessings that they might have got, is that they are able to work tirelessly and put pressure on themselves and have audacity that they can be whatever they want. Audacity is a very good gift, by the way. Be daring to where you want to be. And if a market doesn't serve your dream, shift.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I think if I was 26 years today, I would not stay in Uganda. I wouldn't. Because I have friends who have dared and they've made it. I have one of a friend who moved to Dallas, and the things that she's achieving right now, she has been able to achieve what takes people 2 decades in a space of 6 years.
But I've also heard that people who move miss out on our community.
That's the
I
price
tried to make the move, but it's fits in Florida.
You can't win it all, Namara. You must choose. It's someone once said, choose your heart.
Yeah.
If it's the paycheck that brings you joy, and you can't find it here, but you can find it in Florida, then the opportunity cost is going to be that you may not have friends to chill with on a Saturday night. So if you choose to have friends to chill with on a Saturday night, but on a minimum budget, then the opportunity cost is that you will not have a good wallet, but you'll have community, which goes back to the value system. What do you value as a person? Then what you value is what will drive your agenda in life, because that's what will derive satisfaction to you. Because I know people who are happy just seeing money on their bank, just seeing the money seated. They will possibly not even go and spoil themselves. Their excitement and their joy, adrenaline is the numbers, the money is seated. And that's what gives them joy. By all means, we wish them well. But on my end, that may not be the case. I want to see, okay, if I can invest here, or if I'm happy here, I'm happy giving away some of my time. I mentor twice a year. 2 quarters. I only take on 2 cohorts. I do it twice a year. I try to, every time I finish a course, I think of what next, how do I challenge myself? Someone once said, people who overstudy maybe are anxious, they're afraid. No, I think it's just who you are as a person, how curious you are. If I'm not doing an actual course, I'm on LinkedIn learning. I'm learning something. I'm listening to one from a religious leader somewhere, possibly a sheikh or a Christian or a priest. That's just who I am.
A lot to share. You have a lot to share.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen it all in this conversation. But for the policymaker, what recommendation do you have for them?
So for people in policy, the good thing with marketers and salespeople, and policies are driven by brands as well. Most companies now have like a PAC department, like PR, stakeholder management and all that. So for me, I think it's beyond the profitability, beyond the pretense of trying to make your brands human by showing all these good things that you do, possibly on Eid, you're going to a mosque to take pictures. Yeah, it happens. Eid is like next week, I think in 2 weeks, there's going to be
Another one.
You're going to see brands dashing to mosques, giving away kilos of rice and all that. I think have impact.
But that's for the brand.
With the policymakers, they can only buy into you when they see the impact that you're trying to build. So policy, for me right now, what I think is the planet. And the right now, the agency that I think is in charge of policy would be NEMA, for the National Environment Management Agency. That one I know is, then there's the NFA, because trees are like the lungs of the earth.
Yeah.
So every brand right now should be concerned with the planet. Why? Mother Nature has no respect for anyone. We have seen insurance companies literally collapse. There was a California fire and they couldn't pay. The damage was unexpected, exorbitant. So for me, if I were sitting in these rooms, I would be having someone specifically, they like to call them sustainability managers, but it would be specifically to pick a part of the environment that you can support and focus on that and measure it and see how it's the results that you're actually delivering. One may say we are a bank, we don't pollute, we just collect money, lend money, but still people on the way to the bank, there's a carbon footprint out of the bank. The money you're lending, is it green lending? What are they going to use the loans for? Maybe do you give better credits to the people who are actually going to have startups that are going to be more environmental friendly? I would be thinking in that space.
No, very valid, especially because a country like Uganda, we are very green in all its senses, but then we're affected by the effects of the climate change. So
you've seen, once it starts raining, you must, especially now you people in this location, you must drive very quickly out of here because before you know it, the building, the water.
Our drainage system is good in Uma.
Yeah, but still, like
around
on the way,
yes,
your car may be floating somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you can't swim, you might be a victim of
the majority of the people. Okay, so I get signs from our producer that our time is running out, but it's been a wonderful time. We have some few rapid fire questions, but before we go to the rapid fire questions, I love your value system, and it would be unforgivable if we don't talk about your God and faith, because you've talked about it like 7 times in a conversation.
Yes.
Why?
When I was 33, which is 7 years ago, I had a moment to rediscover myself. I took some time out to actually understand my purpose and my calling, because I felt like I was just living every day as it came. I would wake up in the morning and just clock the time. It was like clockwork. It was late, but better late than never, because I believe that at least by 20, you must have a direct, exact compass on where you're going. So because I'm a custodian of children, God has given me children, it also gave me a balance to understand how will I guide these children through life. Because if I'm lost, it's like a lost shepherd guiding sheep. So I felt like I had to go back and recalibrate myself. So spiritually, I got that alignment. Not in a fanatic way, but in understanding that this is just a physical world. So I try to think of the spiritual element as well. I don't dominate. I once worked somewhere and I said, let us pray. And one of the bosses told me, Viola, we have not been praying here. Please, let's just proceed with the meeting. And I respected it, but I started praying in my heart, because for me, that is my ecos. That's how and why I think it's important is that there's an emptiness that me, as Viola, I used to feel, but I feel like God covered that emptiness. So Do I go through challenges? Yes. Am I protected from evil because of my choices? No. Sometimes the evil comes, sometimes I'm protected. But and knowing God and having a relationship with God and a higher being and whatever people choose, may I call it, is that it has given me a sense of purpose and direction and a confidence in exactly what I love to do. And it helps me deal with human nature.
Yeah.
For example, envy. That in the corporate world, there's a lot of envy. But because of the choices I've made, I find myself not being a part of envy. Instead, my envy is boosted with confidence. My insecurities are boosted with curiosity. So for every negative, I found myself upskilling on another side. And this is both for my professional and personal life. And I've found contentment with it. And I'm not apologetic at all about saying that. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I would not change. I just also like your thought process because you have that clarity that is seen, I think, from the start of the conversation.
Yeah.
Clear on what you want, your values, everything you have mentioned here. I think a patriot can take a thing or two. Now, the fun part, where we think middle class economy, and we'd like to also pick your brain on that. With us 2 questions, rapid fire.
Okay.
Give us the top 3 answers that come off of your head. What are those things we are doing today as marketers, salespeople, that is going to help us achieve the thriving middle class economy? And what are those things we need to stop today because they're not taking us anywhere? We shall not get there.
The things, let me start with what we need to stop. We need
Okay, let's start with
what we need to stop.
Dominance.
What we need to stop is fearing to adapt to change. Saying that it used to work this way, it doesn't. We need to let it go. The second thing we need to stop is being self-magnanimous, self-importance. Understanding that your achievements today do not count tomorrow. It needs to stop. It needs to stop.
Who she's talking to.
Yes. For all of us, we have a tendency. You did this amazing campaign. It hit the market. It was wonderful. Move on. What next? We need to stop. The next thing we need to stop is envy. Envy. As professionals, we need to be happy for others. When people win, be happy for them. Because it makes it easier to thrive.
Wonderful.
Yes.
The things we are doing that we need to continue because
adaptation to technology. I find that marketers are leading the way they are in using applications, but to the adaptation. Because even in the prompts and the text these days, you can easily tell that's AI. But you're not meant to carry what AI has done and put it there. You're meant to customize it, let it have a human voice behind it. So we can continue that. We need to continue upgrading ourselves. I like the fact that very many marketers are doing CIM and doing all these things because it's these professional courses that validate us, but it's also a way of testing yourself and always being. Then another thing we need to continue doing is having fun. Don't take life too seriously. Have fun and create the balance because there's a tendency to bury yourself in work and forget the people who actually matter. And unfortunately, in your absence, when you're being replaced by HR in the week of your absence, the people who will love you the most and miss you the most are not the ones at work. They're at home.
Thank you so much for making time.
You're welcome, Namara.
For making time today. I didn't expect anything different, and I'm so happy that also the patriots who are not on the WhatsApp groups, the ones who would never encounter you in their life's path, that they've gotten to share, to receive this information. Probably for me, it will be just reigniting your value system.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Patriots, ciao.